I'm Henderson.
I'm Tan, your wife.
I knew that.
Okay, so we're starting a podcast, and it's gonna be called "We Had a Baby."
Yes, we did. Oh my goodness.
I think part of the inspiration for where we got the podcast idea and why it's called "We Had a Baby" was because Henderson has been listening to this podcast called "We Bought a House"
Yes.
by
By Phineas O'Connell and I believe Claudia Solowski,
which is his girlfriend,
which
right?
is his girlfriend, and they have somewhat a similar relationship like us without a baby, except they have a dog.
Yeah, I mean, we've listened to a few episodes together, and we both really liked their style, and just thought that it's very entertaining listening to them talk to each other about their lives,
Yeah.
about
I think it's easier to listen to something that we can relate to, so it makes it more interesting when you're like, oh, yeah, that happened to us too. Like,
yeah,
or yeah, Gemma does that as well. Like,
yeah,
but
or also to just kind of learn from what they're doing, or relate to what they've done to see if like we can do something similar, or how to see how we are doing something and if we're doing it the right way or the wrong way.
yeah,
Most of the times it's not, there's no right or wrong, but just
yeah,
like hearing, for some reason, just like hearing or knowing that someone else is doing something in the same way or in a similar way, it just makes you feel like you're doing it correctly, I think.
yeah. I mean, there are no rules to this, but yeah. So, 6 months ago, 6.5 months ago, that is, we had a baby, and her name is Clara, and she's this beautiful little, exciting little girl that has entered our lives and has changed our lives dramatically. And,
And we just want to talk about
we want
that.
to talk about our experiences and what we've gone through, and maybe it can help you guys or new parents to be of the lessons or experiences that we've gone through. And we're not going to dive into specific topics, but we kind of just want to break down what we've.
Well, today we're not going to dive in. Today is going
Yeah.
to kind of, we wanted to do an introduction and give an overview of things that, or topics that we're planning on talking about, the tone of the podcast, just kind of what we said, an overview.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the questions that anyone would ask first off is why we decided to start a podcast. So I think for me anyway, what I was thinking was, so Claire's 6.5 months now. And so at this time, I just feel like we've had enough experience with her, 24 hours a day for the last 6.5 months with this human being to really, well, actually, I can't even say really know what we're doing, but to actually know a little bit about what we're doing and to know enough to be able to speak about it. If we started this podcast 6 months ago, 2 weeks after she was born, I don't think we would have anything to talk about.
Right.
Like it would
or
literally,
we would have any time to even begin this podcast.
yeah,
Because now that we're on a routine and she's sleep trained, it has allowed us to have so much more extra time
yeah,
in the evenings to do a lot of things. Like in the past, I'd say 2 months ish, we've renovated, decored this house a lot. And now that we're kind of somewhat finished for the time being, and we've run out of shows to watch in the evenings. We decided
Yeah.
to start this podcast because it's something that we've always wanted to do.
yeah. We've talked. I mean, yeah, we've talked. I've talked about starting a podcast and it's like forever, but with also the quarantine that's going on, I feel like we don't really have any excuse to not get
Yeah.
it started because we have so much time now.
Yeah.
And like it really it's really impacted, or the quarantine has really made an impact on how we spend our time actually. And like I realized that with just all the time that we're spending at home,
We've learned a lot new skills that we wouldn't be doing if it weren't for the quarantine. Like you learn how to put up a wall with all these trims and paint it and sand it and use all these tools. And I learned how to grow a garden and just I don't even know how I got into it, but I really enjoy it. So these are some of the hobbies that we've gotten into.
yeah, we've watched a lot of Netflix as well. And I don't know, I just feel like I want to do something more productive with our time. And I'm kind of a little bit sad. Like I don't know how much longer this quarantine is going to last, but I just feel like I am finally starting to enjoy, or kind of have accepted that this quarantine life is the new normal. And I'm like actually enjoying my time at home with Clara and like the extra time that I have. I don't know if you can say the same for yourself, but
Well, I mean, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of, we get to have our, I guess, 24/7 without anyone interrupting or anyone interfering with any input or being like, you should do this or you should do that, aka my parents or your mom. So it's really just us raising our daughter without,
well, as how it should be.
as how it should be, yes. But, with the millennial age and like how living in the North America, parents usually are going to be at work and they have their kids either at daycare or the grandparents. So, that this quarantine has allowed us to actually, learn a lot of things in order to raise our daughter by ourselves. And this is what our parents has gone through back in the 80s or 90s because they didn't have help from anyone. But the thing is, how they're so accustomed to offering help, and for us, we don't want to accept their help because we want to do it ourselves. Now we don't really need to feel obligated to say no because the whole pandemic allows us to be like, no, yeah, you're not here to help, so we're just doing it ourselves.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, so speaking of this pandemic and the quarantine, I think one of the topics that we can eventually go into a little bit more detail is having a baby during this time and some of the benefits and I guess disadvantages that we see from like coming from like raising a newborn during this or in this quarantine time. Like I think one of the main issues that we have is she's gonna have very little, like basically zero social interactions with people outside of us. And even then, like you're working all the time, so she just sees me 85% of the day.
Yeah.
Every single day. She doesn't really see anyone else. And so I'm curious, and I hope that doesn't have a negative impact on her, like her personality, her social skills.
And
like
to other infants, babies, and toddlers. I mean, it's a scary time. And this is when they absorb the most, I believe. From 0 to 3 years old, they absorb so much information that, they're aware of their surroundings. They're aware of the people that are around them. And
we're kind of just like removing like a huge aspect that she's never going to be able to experience.
Because like she can't go anywhere. Nothing's open technically. And it's not like I'm going to take her grocery shopping because it's like I'm not going to, risk
her life.
having her
sick
at a grocery grocery, like Costco or Walmart or anything. But before the whole pandemic, we were taking her to the mall. We were taking her to our
Like
parents' house,
grandparents.
and she had somewhat a bit of socialing because she wasn't really awake during those social
Well, she was really
encounters. I
young
know
during
she was
that
only like a
time.
month or two.
But when the quarantine started, I had plans to start baby yoga, taking her to the
Swim.
library to do sing along classes, to hang out with other babies and moms,
I know.
take
Yeah.
her, enroll her in infant swim lessons.
Yeah. So we're at the point where we're not really sure what's gonna happen with the whole pandemic or when the restrictions are gonna be uplifted.
But even if the restrictions are lifted, I don't know how, like, I
Ye-
feel about.
Yeah, I mean, as parents, we want to protect our little girl. Um, so I mean, ideally, yeah, we would still take her to places such as going to the mall or maybe going to Lakeshore for walks. But the whole idea of being near people or not standing 6 feet apart kind of scares us because, we don't want her to contract anything that she doesn't.
Well, the thing is, babies get sick, and that's fine. It's just COVID. That's like the uncertainty here, that like we don't know what it's going to do to babies, if a baby contracts it, if it's going to have permanent damage to their lungs, to their body for the rest of their lives. Like, as a baby, they have the rest of their life to live still. And imagine, ruining their set of lungs at this young age. Then they're going to have to live with a compromised set of lungs for the rest of their lives. Like, what does that even mean? But the thing, so that's one of the disadvantages of living or having a baby or raising a baby newborn during this pandemic. But the other thing is, it's like, I don't know how this is going to impact her immunity, because normally you would have the baby out, socialize, like being around other people,
Oh, okay.
and they would develop their immune system, which is fine. And like, babies getting sick is normal. That's a normal part of developing their immune system. And it just makes it stronger, because
Right.
after they fight it off, then they, like, it's just working their immune system. So it just
Right.
makes it stronger.
Yeah.
But now,
They don't have a chance to, technically.
yeah, like they've just been inside, and it's kind of just like Clara has been living in this bubble, this like,
Like, she doesn't even know other people. Like, if we were to bring her to our parents, she'd be like, "Who are you guys?" And if my parents want to hold her, she'll probably start crying because she's so used to being with us.
yeah. But back to the like back to the immune system. Just, she's like, because she's in this bubble, she's not exposed to anything, and she's never, like, in the 6.5 months that she's been alive, she's never been sick. And I don't know, like, I haven't looked up infant sick rates, like how often infants get sick, but I would imagine, babies get sick. And
Yeah.
she hasn't gotten sick at all. So I don't even know if, like, her immune system is developing at all, because she's just inside. But on the other hand, what's been great about raising or having a newborn during this pandemic is setting a schedule and sleep training. Because otherwise, sleep training would be very difficult, because it interferes with the parents' social life, like our
Yeah.
social life.
And like, I assume it's summer now, and that there's so many events happening, and a lot of baby showers, and a lot of your friends are having kids now. And if we had to attend all these social gatherings, it would hinder her progress, and it would
It'll just
probably
take longer, yeah.
take longer for her to take longer for her sleep training. And I mean, it's like a blessing in disguise that we're able to do this, but kind of a burden at the same time, I feel. I mean, I miss, like, I think when I envisioned having a baby, it was just like, oh, we're gonna be taking her out everywhere, taking her to Wonderland, taking her to.
But not during this time.
Yeah, I think I would. Like, we would
Like
have
when
cheat
she
days.
was 3 months, 4
Oh,
months.
Okay, maybe not.
Like
then.
you take a baby to Wonderland. I think a little bit older.
Like taking her to Niagara Falls, just strolling her down on Niagara Falls, and now that she's like sitting and she's able to see, and she's interested in things, like I would want her to see the people and the falls and everything that
Yeah.
life has to offer.
Yeah, but you do that during her wake hours.
I
See,
get it.
I think so. Another episode or another podcast that we would get into would be the topic of sleep and sleep training, because Henderson and I clearly have different views on the importance of sleep and sleep training. So I think that's kind of just like what I want out of this podcast anyway, to be able to have this forum or platform to be able to talk about all of the topics that come up with raising a baby. And a lot of these topics are very sensitive topics, like sleep training or like discipline, or I'm just like listing things off the top of my head. I don't know if we're quite there to talk about discipline yet. I don't know if we have any valuable comments or input or anything like that, but I think that eventually it'd be a great platform to get comments from anyone listening as well, and like perspectives from listeners to see, just to give us a different perspective, because really I have my perspective and I'm pretty set on those. I mean,
And
my
I have-
perspective comes from a lot of research. Like I read a lot
Well,
all
that's
the time.
thing. I think you read too much to the point where it's like you can't do things without reading.
Yeah, I can.
I don't know. I feel
But
like
the thing is, it's like with a baby, it's like if you don't know what you're doing for these things that you're talking about, you're gonna harm them.
yeah.
Like if the baby comes down with a fever, I'm gonna double check. Like I'm not a doctor myself. Like I'm gonna double check to make sure that I'm giving the right medicines, because there's a lot of medicines that you can give and there's a lot of medicines that you can't give. Or if you should be giving medicine at all, at what age and what
Right.
dose and all of the like I feel like I do a lot of reading because I've never had a baby before. Like this is my first baby. And I don't want to harm her. Like
I
that's
know.
it. Like I just want everything that I do to be safe and to like not have any substantial negative impact in the future.
Okay.
That's why I do reading, a lot of reading, so that I can learn, because I don't know,
Yeah.
but you're
Well, no,
different because
yeah.
you just do what you feel like doing, which
I'm the fun dad. I think I just like to have not.
but that's
fun.
not fair.
I know it's not fair, but it's just like I'm working all day, and then like I want to be the helper that just like plays with her when you need like a break to go eat, to go shower, to do your own thing. But in terms of development, like feeding her and all that, taking her shower, I don't know if I'm like the perfect candidate to do that now. I feel like maybe later when she's like a bit older, I feel
So maybe we should. So our life. This is how our life is. So I work for a marketing agency, a healthcare marketing communications agency. So it's like an office job downtown, and the commute from here is about an hour each way. So if I were like when I go back to work, it would be, I would leave the house around 7:30 in the morning, and then I wouldn't get back until probably 5:30 at the earliest. Henderson,
I'm a YouTuber.
he's a YouTuber.
Well, technically not YouTuber anymore, but I'm a musician.
He works from home.
That work from home, and I put a lot of content out on YouTube once a week, and I am, I guess, blessed to be able to do that, and very fortunate to have a musical background that has allowed me to basically make a living, and to obviously work from home.
Yeah, so he works from home. He's been home all the time, like the whole time that I've been on, or since I've started mat leave.
Since we began dating.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like since Clara's been we had
yeah.
Clara,
Yeah.
he's been home 100% of the time, but he's not present. Like he's working because he works from home, and also because we have the space for him to have like a room in the house that's his and that he considers his workspace. So he's able to
So funny, I don't understand. What's so funny about me working in my own space? I don't wonder. Where are you getting with this?
No, your yawn.
Oh, my yawn is funny.
Anyway, so he has his own space, and so even though he's home, he's not like present in the day-to-day like care of Clara. So that's just a little bit of background about our situation, like our parenting situation. It's like I'm still I'm still basically solo parenting Clara during the day. And then now that she's sleep trained, Henderson normally will finish work around 5, and Clara starts her bedtime routine at 6, and she's in bed by 7. Like her bedtime is 7. So Henderson has about an hour, really, like, I guess, of quality time that he could potentially spend with Clara. But like that's just what our situation is.
But where was the butt going?
No, I'm just saying that just for anyone who's curious, like what our family dynamic is, and how so that for future when we're talking about things, like they understand why we do certain things.
But I guess.
Well,
I don't know. I guess that's all for now.
Yeah,
and I
that's
guess
all
we'll
for
dive
now.
into other specific topics on the next podcast. And I guess we can jump right into sleep training from the very beginning to now. Like we technically didn't sleep train her from the very beginning, but we will talk about like just her sleep in general.
Yeah, what we learned.
And what we've learned.
Yeah, I guess, the next podcast can be about sleep.
Yeah, a very important topic. And, it changes and it's still changing even today. So this is going to basically be between the day she was born until 6.5 months. What we've learned and what we're going to share with you guys. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed what we've talked about today, and it's just basically an introduction to our podcast.
And I think once we don't have the details now. We're just recording the first one.
And this is
once we have
raw,
the details,
not edited. I'm not going to use any witchcraft or magic to edit this.
Because we know that he knows how. No,
and I do
but
it for
no, I
everything.
mean, once we have the details for where podcast links are gonna be posted, and
I think
release
temporarily now we
times
can just
and
post
whatever.
on SoundCloud.
well, I don't know, like where
Yeah.
we don't know, but once we have all of that figured out, then we will put all the information somewhere.
Yeah, so make sure you guys follow, subscribes, and hit the like button. Anyways, peace, guys.